In this lecture, we're going to look at another aspects of decorations in your list views, and that is using sections to group your data in similar groups. We're going to go to Qt Creator and play with us. Okay, here we are in Qt Creator. We're going to create a new project. It's a Qt Quick application. We call it Decoration Section Demo. Save it in the usual location. Choose our Qt version. Choose our kit and finish. We want to change the title here. It is another kind of decoration, so we say that here. I want to put in a list view. It's going to be the usual thing, really. The ID is going to be mlist view. It's going to fill the parent. And we are going to specify a delegate, which is going to be an external component. So we're going to say delegate ID like this. I want to put in a model that I have prepared to save some typing. It is nothing special. It is a list model with list elements. Right now we have roles, name, and company. What we want to do is to group these people in our list view based on the company where they work. So now we have a model. Let's check the ID, mlist model, this is okay. We want to specify our delegate. Again, I am going to put in our delegate like this. Control A, Control I to align. It is the same thing we've seen before. We have an ID inside. It is a rectangle that specifies how each element in the list view is going to look. So it's a rectangle with the background color of beige, border color, yellow, green. It has round edges. And inside we have a text component that says the names of the person. Okay, we don't want to display the company. We only display the name of the person in the delegate here. And we have access to this because the delegate has access to both the model and the view, the data in there, and the functions that are inside. Okay, now we have our model, we have our delegate, and we have our list view. We want to know how to group the elements together. Let's go back to the documentation, find list view. If we look at the list of properties that we have one called section. Click on that, and you're going to see that this is a grouped property. Okay, these properties determine the expressions to be evaluated and appearance of the section labels. This is what you use to group your elements based on a criteria of the data that is stored in the model. In this case, we want to group the people based on the company where they work at. And the company is also stored in the model, in our list model here. So we want to put in a section here. This is how you work with it. You can do this separately like they are doing it here in the examples. If you scroll down, you're going to see an example of how you work with this. Section property, section criteria, section delegate like this. But I want to show you another syntax because you need to see that too. You can specify it like this directly. And you can specify the properties inside like this. The first thing we want to specify is the property that we are going to group by. Okay, we want to specify it in here, in quotes. It is company in the model. Criteria is going to be view section full string. If we go back in the documentation, you're going to see that the criteria holds the criteria for forming each section based on section property. You can make it a full string, which is going to show the entire thing. This is the default. Or you can group by first character. So if you had something like an address book, it's going to group people by A, B, C, and things like that. But we are going to use full string in this example here. So we specify full string. So we are going to specify a delegate. This is going to be the delegate for the section headers. We want to put in a rectangle like this. Okay, because I don't really want to type this again, I'm going to put in this rectangle. Control A, Control I, and I'm going to try and explain it. So the rectangle is what we have in here. We have an ID for this rectangle. We have a width and a height, a color, a border, a radius. This is nothing new to you right now. Inside we have a text component. It has an ID. The text is going to be the section header. This property holds what you are grouping by. In this case, we are grouping people by company. So we're going to see a section for a company of Google. We are going to see a section for a company of Tencent, Apple, Baidu, and things like that. This is the data that you have in this section property inside your section here. Okay, we center that and specify a point size for the font. We also want to make this clickable, and we display the section here. By now we have our components in place, and the meat of this lecture is really this section you see here. We are trying to group the data in our model based on company. The company is the role that we have in our model. We want to group by company. We are going to show the criteria for grouping in full string. So we are going to show the full names of the companies that we are grouping by. And the way the section header is going to look is specified in this delegate component here. It's going to be a rectangle. Inside, we're going to have a text element. And the text that is going to be displayed is the section header. And it's going to be the same thing as the name of the company we are grouping by. I hope this makes sense. And if it's not clear, maybe it's going to be more clear if we run the application. So we run it. You see that our people are grouped by the companies they work at. If we look in our model, you see that Seth Morris works at Google, Jack May works at Apple, Mary Beige works at Tencent, and you see our data in here. So sometimes you need this. When you do, this will come in handy. But one thing you need to know is that for your data to be displayed correctly, you need to have your element stored contiguously. What do I mean? Let's take Seth Morris here, copy the element and put it at the end of the list in the model. Let's run again. You see that we have Google and we have Miriam. But if we go to the bottom, you see that we have another Google header and we have Seth Morris inside. And this is really how the sectioning works. If you don't have your elements contiguously, you are going to have the header on every piece of element that comes after the other elements. In this case, Google is coming back after Baidu, and the list view is going to let you know that Seth Morris works at Google by putting a header like this. I hope this makes sense. If you want to have only one header for each company, you're going to have to store your elements contiguously in the model and put it back like it was before. Let's put this first again, run our application, and this is what we had before. One thing you need to know is that the look of the section header is controlled by the delegate property in your section. What we have here, this rectangle. This is all I had to say in this lecture. I hope you know how you can group your elements in your list view. In the next lecture, we're going to see how you work with repeaters. I'll see you there.